They make you feel like you're the cream of the crop because, across the whole country of, a million witnesses, you were invited to Bethel. But then once you get there, you're not special in Bethel. Everyone else is more special than you because you're the new guy.
You're listening to The Critical Thought, where we challenge our listeners to use critical thinking when examining the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses.
So, how about Bethel Entrance School? Did you ever go through that, JT?
Oh yeah. Our Bethel Entrance School. I remember George Genghis did one of our schools. He actually stopped by, and he was
talked a little bit like Yoda, right?
Yeah, little short Greek guy. And
yeah, okay.
I remember him telling us. He said, back home, you were the cream of the crop. That's why we call you here.
Exactly.
But now you're with all the cream, so you're not special here. And so I remember our entrance school because they went over a lot of things about what you would do at Bethel, the way it will be, institutional life. And I really personally, I just feel bad for sisters or females at Bethel because, man, Bethel is it's not a place for women. It just really was. It was not. While we lived at the sisters, we lived in what's called the 107 building. And there were no bathrooms in the rooms. All your bathroom was dormitory style. So you had to go down the hall, and depends on if you were close or whether you went all the way to the other end. And so sisters just felt uncomfortable walking down in their robes at night to use the bathroom, and they passed 4 or 5 guys coming in, Sister Johnson, So it was just difficult for them, and that's why for a lot of sisters they just couldn't do it, and they end up leaving. But our entrance school, our Bethel entrance school, we call it New Boys School, and going over there, dwelling together in unity book and so forth. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. They make you feel like you're the cream of the crop because, across the whole country of, a million witnesses, you were invited to Bethel. But then once you get there, you're not special in Bethel. Everyone else is more special than you because you're the new guy, right?
Yeah, so you're the new guy.
Special, but then they put you in the place by telling you you're not special, right? That you're just a new guy and you've got nothing to say. You got to do everything, the way they say it. And it's like a company, hey, do it our way. It's our way or the highway, right? So the interesting thing, though, if you remember in the dwelling manual, it says in there to make Bethel your lifelong career.
Make it your lifelong career.
And I remember emphasis was made on that big time. What do you interpret when they say make Bethel your lifelong career?
Well, they used to tell us all the time, this is your home. And you can stay as long as you want to. They used to tell us it all the time. So for most people who went to Bethel, we refer to it as a Bethel career. Mm-hmm. So and I just remember they laid off over 1,000 guys, and I just remember how they would poke fun at the world. The world lays its people off. They close their shop up and they go away. And so we would say, pioneer or become a Bethelite, and you will always have a place because Jehovah never lay. I used to hear things. Man, they used to say stuff so much it wasn't even funny. So I can't imagine, man, if I was still at Bethel when they made the announcement. I remember the guy who George is the guy who gave the speech. I came in along with George. He's the guy who actually gave the Bethel talk about, some change is coming. Some change is good. Change is good. I can't imagine. George worked upstairs in the Bethel office. I cannot imagine when they came to George, said, George, we got an assignment for you. We need for you to give the Acts talk to all the Bethel family. I cannot imagine how George was like, oh, my goodness. I got to go out there and tell everybody they're going to get kicked out of Bethel. And so... But he went out there, he soldiered on like a good soldier and told everybody there's going to be some changes coming and some of y'all leaving. And people I've talked to, man, I'm going to tell you, Paul, man, they said people were just crying. And I know, man, I personally know guys, 30 years at the house, man, 30 years at the big house. And them and their wives pack up your stuff and leave. And so, when you leave Bethel, you have no insurance, you have no health coverage, you have no dental coverage, you have nothing. And it wasn't like they were going to get like a little service package or something, help them, here's $1,000, help you get out on the outside and get started, nothing. And they really didn't make a big effort to let congregations know, look, we got some people been in service here at Bethel for 27 years. Whatever you brothers do, open up your homes, open up your heart. It was like, y'all leave Bethel, don't talk about it. Shh. Be quiet. And for a lot of Bethelites, man, their jaws was locked. Their jaws was locked. And there were people at Bethel who quickly saw how you could remain. You basically had to have a skill or a profession. Many of the professions are ones that they told you never to go to school and get, and you saw them. I remember one guy I worked with, man, nice guy, greatest, wonderful dude. We were all in the factory working in the bindery, and I remember this guy came out of Texas, out of Austin, and we was working on the lines, and the lines went down, and so the mechanics came over and was working on it. And in the meantime, you sitting around waiting for the mechanics to finish. And we just chit-chatting, and we going around the circle, like, well, what do you do? What you do before you came to Bethel, man? Well, I was a pioneer, and I had a little yard business. Okay, and what do you do, man? And there's one dude, he was in California. And what do you do? I had a little pool cleaning business. In fact, this guy now is one of society's lawyers. He's one of they sent him to college. He's an attorney now. But when he was pioneer, he had a little yard business where he did basically pool service out there in California, out in the LA area. And then we got to this guy, and this guy says, he said, so what do you do? He said, I work for Dean Witter. And we like, Dean Witter? He said, yeah. And so we're thinking he worked for Dean Witter in the mailroom. No. He says, I dealt with derivatives and investments. And we're like, derivative? What's a derivative? And we're like, well, what were you doing? He said, well, I went to college. He went to I think he went to Texas A&M. He says, and I said, well, I thought your dad was an elder. He said, yeah, my dad made us all go to school. So this dude came to Bethel. He went to college. He had a degree in finance. And so we was like, you're not going to be over in the factory long, man. Not going to be here long. And do you know, after he made his year, because at the end of the year, they ask you, do you want to stay? Or, they tell you to leave at the end of your first year. He decided to stay. Man, I guess probably less than 2-3 months, man, he came into the locker room. He says, it's my last week, guys. I said, where you going? I'm going down to the Treasury. And what he did, he was moved down to the Treasury, and he was part of the original group of guys who was setting up what would now become known as the planned giving desk. And that's what he does. And so what he was doing basically is he would take witnesses who had passed away, left their inheritance to the society, and he would convert their stocks and bonds and real estate. He would convert it into cash, sell the property, cash out the stocks and the bond. And that's what he did. And the reason he did that is because he went to college, got the finance background. And when he got to Bethel, they moved him down there. Whereas the rest of us was doing these little Mickey Mouse jobs so we could pioneer. And now we're not going to be able to be used at Bethel. And so that was probably one of the most hypocritical things that I used to see at Bethel. And and then of course you get that guy to put you back in order. Just be thankful. Like David said, I prefer to be a person standing at the door of God than to be moving around with the wicked one. And so they always, that crazy stuff they always do. But yeah, so in angel school, it preps you to see stuff that if you're not careful, it'll throw you, because you're not expecting to see the people carry on like they do carry on many times at Bethel, because that wasn't the impression you had before you got there. And then, of course, the kicker is when you leave and go on vacation, you go home, you have to continue to carry that sterling image of Bethel when behind the scenes, man, there's some crazy dudes in Bethel. I mean, some guys, you wonder how they got there. And so you got all kinds, man. You got all kinds.
Yeah, and they really make you feel that when you go to Bethel, that you're at the temple. It's like you've come to the temple, like of old days, right? That, like you said with David, I'd rather be in the courtyards of Jehovah than, moving around with the wicked, right? They really make you feel that this is a center for true worship in the whole country. So it's as if you're working in the temple.
One of the things they used to tell us in Brooklyn, I remember, you look back now, man, you realize how crazy it was. But they would say, brothers, you need to understand that here in Brooklyn, we have the greatest concentration of Holy Spirit because we have more members of the anointed than anywhere on earth is right here in Brooklyn. And so you'd be like, man, that's great. That's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. But you saw this stuff. I remember this one dude, super nice guy, man. He was like 26 years old, and he was of the anointed. And we was like, okay, all right, we're going to let that one go. And so you saw stuff that was like, man, that's kind of unusual. But it's a lifestyle that it's out there even beyond what witnesses live, because it's so unreal. Like you said, you consider yourself being at the temple. And it's kind of ironic how the society will play it, that the White Star Bible and Tract Society is just an entity, and then they'll call it Bethel, house of God.
Yeah.
Either you think it's the house of God or it's just a corporate entity sitting over here on the left. Which is it? You can't have it both ways. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that there's actually quite a few judicial cases in Bethel, but it's kept under wraps so that people don't get the wrong impression. Like, I was in Bethel, and there were Bethelites that were, found engaging in homosexuality, adultery, robbery. I know one brother, he was a purchaser, and he'd use the money to go pay for prostitutes.
Yeah, man.
I mean, and that's okay. That's on him. But what I want to get at is that everybody looks at Bethel as being the clean and holy place. And you know what? It's just a place that's also got imperfect people that are also going to make mistakes like everybody else. So they put it on this high level. And you know what? It's just a group of people working in a company for a common goal. It's like having a company where there's stricter rules, but it's not what they told it to be, as being the house of God, being the temple. No, it's like having a congregation where everybody actually doesn't just meet together, they work together.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I was at Bethel when Greenleaves was kicked out. Pottsinger, the German governing body member, I remember we came on the breakfast table that morning, and he made the announcement. He said, "This is informed of the family that Greenleaves is no longer a member of the Bethel family." And then he said this. He says, "And the matter is closed." And man, throughout Lord Diner and the other diner, you couldn't hear a pin. It was like, okay, we're gonna let that one go. And of course, then after a few days, word got around what the issue was, and people started, it's hot gossip. It's juicy gossip. It's TMZ stuff at Bethel, So, but yeah, so when I look back to the schools that we had, like the Bethel entrance school, you're required to go through it. If there was one thing I will say, this is just a personal thought, is that one of the requirements of your first year at Bethel is to read the entire Bible. Mm-hmm. From Genesis 1 all the way to Revelation. And so that was something that, as a new boy, is your goal, to read about four or 5 pages a day. And eventually, by the end of the year, man, it is amazing. You will have read the entire Bible. Problem is, we read it, but we didn't understand it. So
yeah, exactly. And also sometimes you're speed reading. You were behind because
you was flying.
And you have this chart for the year, and you know where you should be and where you're really at. And you're like, well, tonight I'm going to have to read a whole book of the Bible, right? Like, so you're just speed reading. You're reading for the sake of reading. You're not trying to get anything out of it. You're just doing it to say, yeah, I checked off the boxes, right?
You want to be able to say at the end of the year, I read my whole Bible. I'm going to tell you, Paul, man, as I look back now, man, we meant well, and it's just so sad. You have a lot of good people. A lot of good people, yeah. Man. Yep. And yet they have been given some information, man, that is just flawed terrible. And it's so flawed, you can't even discuss it. That's what makes it so sad. It's one thing to have flawed. Okay, now, this is wrong. But it's so flawed that if you discuss it openly, you're considered an enemy of God. That is absolutely amazing when an organization can elevate their published material to that level and at the same time tell you it's not inspired and it's not infallible. Then how in the world do you get that type of status where you have something that's uninspired, is not infallible, and it can't even be questioned? The Watchtower has made a very good job at attaching themselves to God. Well, if you question
what you do for the organization, you're doing for Jehovah, right?
Exactly right. It's the greatest trick in the world. And for many of us, we were so thankful now that we came to realize that. And let's
be honest, JC, and I'm going to ask you if maybe this happened to you, because it happened to me too as an elder, right? And I was blind. It's true, there's no excuse, but I just want to present a scenario. You're giving counsel to someone in the congregation. And what do you tell the brother or the sister? This is Jehovah speaking to you. right? This is Jehovah speaking to you, right? No, wait a minute. It's you, JT, or you, Paul, the elder, giving the person your take on it, your personal counsel. And yet you elevate that counsel to being what God is telling the individual. So if they don't listen to your counsel, what's the conclusion? They're not listening to God. They're not listening to Jehovah. And again, the organization creates that situation because they say you're an elder because you've been appointed by Holy Spirit, and you've been appointed by the governing body, and it makes you think that, oh wow, Jehovah has really fixed his eyes on me, and now I'm his man. I'm his man on the ground. And the advice that I give people, that's the advice that Jehovah wants them to have, right? So you can fall into that trap as an elder of thinking that what you're telling people is what Jehovah wants them to hear, right? And it's just really a sum up of all your experiences and what you've read and what you think is going to happen to that person if they don't listen to you. But you're thinking, this is Jehovah speaking through me because I'm an elder, and the elders are appointed by God.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And what really drives that point home is when you're quoting from the Watchtower publications. This is from the mouthpiece of God. And, that when I was at Bethel, one of the things that I quickly recognized is that individuals who were society men, good society men, and these were identified, or these were defined as men who are able to do what the society says. If it's in print and they do it, that is considered a good society man. You would rarely ever hear a circuit overseer or people in high positions in the organization, even at Bethel, who were known for he's just an outstanding example of the fruitage of God's Spirit. No, that was not what he was known for. They were known for how tight they were to adhering to what the society said. He don't play, man. He'll take what the society says in a minute. And so that is what the society elevated through right on up the food chain. Yeah. And so for the rank and file witness, they may not realize that this is a heavily position-driven organization. They just do it in a different manner than to do it out front. But behind the scenes, I've heard they'll say, Brother Jones, he's a good society man. Everybody knows what that means. That means this guy sticks to whatever's in print. If it's not in print, he's not doing it. And therefore, when he tells you something, Jehovah has spoken. And so that was what my mentor taught me. Yeah. I had a mentor, he was a former district overseer. He says, stick to he says, JT, people may not like you, but you'll always be right because you can point to what the society says in print. And that's what makes a good society man. But basically, that means you're a company man.
Yeah,
we've worked in companies where you get these corporate guys and they don't budge.
Yep.
They don't budge.
Well, policy, right? And so, just think of the Kingdom Ministry School, right? It's a school for elders, right? Again, one thing about it was that they give you this massive amount of homework to do every night for a couple days. You're losing sleep, and you're all just researching what is written. And I actually had a part in one of the Kingdom Ministry schools. And the point of the part, get this, is that if you're going to be a good elder, you need to know what's written in the letters to the body of elders. And, you have this binder, and it has an index. And we even had a demonstration to show the brothers, if you're going to do a good job as an elder, before you decide or say anything, you consult the letters to the body of elders. That's like your Bible as an elder, right? You don't do anything without consulting those letters, right? Now, it's true, there are some elders that actually don't even look at the letters and they just go and do their own thing. But the whole idea is you're not a good elder if you're doing that, if you're ignoring the letters. If you want to be a good elder, if you want to make it up the ranks, so to speak, because there's different ranks as elders, because the circuit overseer will come around and he'll be looking at, okay, well, who's got the qualities, but also who's also following what's written when we need to implement stuff. And then he'll start giving you a part in the circuit assembly or the district assembly. And that starts elevating you, because now you're not just an elder in your congregation, you're also a circuit assembly speaker. You're a district assembly speaker. And then And then there's levels even with that, because if you get a circuit assembly part, well, you might get just something that was like a 10-minute part with a demonstration, right? But if you get the baptism talk, or if you get the public address, or if you get one of the keynote addresses, again, that elevates you. But it's all based on how good you are at following the society's policies and procedures. And the school, the Kingdom Ministry School, is all about making sure you know what's written in all those letters and in, the elders book, the shepherding book, right? Like that's what you go on.
It becomes very Pharisaic. I remember at our elder school, and I mean this literally, man. I mean this literally. We probably spent almost 20 minutes on discussing loose conduct and uncleanness. Mm-hmm. And it dealt with the phrase momentarily touching a female body part. Yeah. And I remember, and I remember this. I mean, the instructor was asking, well, how long is a moment? What's the difference between caressing and what's the difference between momentarily touching? And it went around, and we had like 900 elders here in Alexandria, Virginia, man.
And they're all putting up their hands.
It's like maybe like a couple seconds, maybe just a couple seconds, not too long. And so, and you were like, and I was still like, this is amazing, man. This is amazing. And so this is why people don't understand the type of crazy questions that come up at judicial cases, especially if it involves something, sexuality and stuff, because we had been programmed already coming out of the school where we're trying to split hairs on momentarily touching a female body part as opposed to caressing, and how many seconds in between the two. And the elders must discuss and determine, did you time it? How much time you have? And so it's crazy.
What position were you sitting in? Did your hands go below the clothes or were they above the clothes? And what was she feeling at the time, or what were you feeling? Like they get into all this nitty gritty.
The minutia, man. The minutia is just unreal. And so, and the speaker, I mean, he's dead serious. He is dead serious. Like, now, brothers, we need to make sure we determine this. We need to make sure we understand this. And I'm like, and it's only when you look back at it, then you're like, man, we were just as crazy as catfish, boy. Crazy.
And it's because when the elders go back to the congregation, they want to make sure when they have to judge, because that's what they're doing, that they're going to judge based on all the same criteria, so that you have the same thing happening in all the congregations, right? And so it's a matter of just creating a uniformity, indoctrinating people with the right questions they need to ask, and definitions of this and definitions of that. And you're just prying into people's lives of things you really don't even need to know. Like it's embarrassing. And I do have I guess you could say the peace in my conscience that I wasn't one of those elders that you talked about that would ask a lot of questions.
This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers.